Welcome to Real Talk with LaShondra podcast. This is LaShondra Mercurius and Carolina Alamendi. We are very excited since this is our first podcast and we have been planning this for some time now. In this episode, you will learn more about myself, why I am here doing this, connecting with you and speaking with you. I have an ambitious goal to build a community of practice for construction, infrastructure, and transportation industry. And this podcast is the next step to continue expanding that community. In this episode, I will be talking about the industry and how I stumbled upon it and continued working in it with dedication and passion. I will touch on my personal life and give you a sneak peek of how I balance my personal life with being an entrepreneur. It is a lifestyle, you know. And lastly, just touching a bit on current situations with COVID-19 and how I managed to stay afloat and continue growing my business. This podcast is going to be just an intro to what you can expect moving forward. The industry, business and entrepreneurship, leadership, and more. In this podcast, let's get it started.
Today, I will be speaking with LaShondra Mercurius, and LaShondra is the co-founder and president of JLM Strategic Talent Partners. The company specializes in talent acquisition and development in the industry of construction, infrastructure, and transportation. I've been working with LaShondra for about 6 years now, I think, yeah?
Yes, 6 years.
Very long time. We go way back. But LaShondra actually has over 17 years of professional experience. And her path to starting her own company is really interesting. So let's just dive right into it and hear it from LaShondra. So LaShondra, why construction and how did you get into this industry? Well,
first of all, I don't appreciate you giving away how long I've been in the industry. Just so you know, I started when I was 5.
Yes, she did. That's true.
Okay, just want to make that clear. So how did I start in the industry? That's a great question because I think it was something that we naturally sort of stumbled into. When I originally started in the staffing world, I worked for a large financial staffing firm, and it just so happened that back then the housing boom was happening, and so we worked with a lot of home builders, a lot of construction was going on, so that was really where I got a lot of my experience. And so when the market crashed, it just seemed like a natural progression into this world, because whenever there's, a down market, typically, construction infrastructure are one of the methods that's used to sort of stimulate the economy. So we just sort of, followed the tea leaves, and we ended up in that industry because, to be honest, that's where the money was. And we were broke. So there you go.
You're not anymore.
From your mouth to God's ears.
And I know we've been working together for 6 years. So I know one thing that you always talk about is an opportunity in this industry to really build partnerships and introduce a partnership model to doing business. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Well, I think that anytime you have a business or anything that you want to grow, you have to have relationships. And you have to have strong partnerships. And we learned that, in the first downturn of the economy. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't really feel it as much as most people because my relationships were so strong. So we really, relied on those relationships to make sure that we could stay afloat and keep it going. And I just feel like strong partnerships and relationships will carry you through any storm, So for me, that's always been, part of our value system, part of our standards. So it's just something that's part of the fabric of how we do business, and it's worked out tremendously well for us.
Mm-hmm. No, thank you. I think this is a really interesting insight, and we will be talking about it more in podcasts in the future. But I think it's good for our listeners to hear that. So now, you've been working with talent for many years, right? Many. Not that many, though.
That's cute, Carolina. Really cute.
But I know it must be different to work with talent in this particular industry than talent that you worked with before in your other jobs, in your other careers. So what makes it exciting? What is different about it?
I don't know if it's a big difference. People are people are people. What I will say is a little different about this particular industry. I would say it's probably more homogenous than most industries that I've worked in. It's probably more male dominated than most industries that I've worked in. But at the same token, I mean, it's people. And, people are people. What are you going to say? But I think the thing that, keeps it exciting is whenever you're in an industry where you're dealing with people. I mean, for us, we deal in staffing, so our product is pretty unpredictable. So you never have the same day. There's always something. So that makes it exciting. But in this industry, the thing that also makes it exciting is the effect that the people that we place out on these projects have on community, on society, and they're really, really making a difference. So for me, that's really, really exciting because they are leaving behind not only, a legacy for themselves, but really for humanity as a whole, because these roads, bridges, byways, and highways that these individuals are working on are going to be here for a very, very long time. So it's exciting to see just how things are started from beginning to end, because transportation really is the lifeblood of communities, and to see how that works and be a fly on the wall with that is super exciting.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I can completely see how exciting it can be to see that the footprint that you're leaving behind working on those projects. So in your experience so far in the industry, do you remember any specific example of a employee or a candidate or talent that you placed on the project and the impact that it had on them?
Wow, that's a loaded question. I mean, I have a lot of stories, but one young lady in particular always stands out for me. And I kind of tell this story all the time, so it just literally rolls off my tongue. A young lady, her name was Leslie. And I remember early on when we started the business, we landed our, first big project. And part of that project required us to recruit individuals from the surrounding community that did not have previous experience. It was a JOTP program, meaning on-the-job training program, and they really wanted this particular project to leave some type of economic footprint in the community. And this young lady, we recruited and we placed her with the safety department, and she was doing administrative work. Now, this young lady is very unique because, number one, she was a single mother of 5 boys. Oh, bless her heart. She was doing God's work. And I'm sure her bathrooms were horrendous. But anyway, I digress. But the thing that was wonderful about her was she was so hungry for knowledge. She had no idea that these types of projects offered the opportunity that would fit her skill set. Mm-hmm. An office job. I mean, you go by these projects, you see the guys in the hard hats and the hammers and all that sort of stuff, and you think, wow, there's not an opportunity for anyone who wants to be in an office job or wants to use their mind, to participate in the project. But anyway, so we placed her on the project. I don't think she had made more than, $13-14 an hour. And she just did an excellent job. I mean, she had those guys in that project hopping. She whipped them into shape, and they were so happy to be there. And I want to say that was back in 2012 or maybe 2013 or so. Yeah. So fast forward to today, I would say, what is that, 6-7 years? She's running her own project controls department and probably making close to $100,000 a year. Oh, wow. So that's the kind of opportunities that get me excited about being in this industry.
Yeah, I mean, that must be so amazing and rewarding to look back at those people that you give opportunities to and see them grow and be successful and really just change their lives.
Yeah, that's really what it's all about.
Yeah.
It's about the ability to affect change. And I think that, here at JLM, that's exactly what we're doing. So yeah, it's exciting. Very rewarding. I couldn't get that out.
It's a difficult word.
Yes,
I agree.
rewarding. Okay, I got it. Yes. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of what gets me up in the morning to do what I do.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing this story. And, following on this topic and talking about talent, in your experience so far, what is a main challenge or a few challenges maybe when it comes to talent acquisition for this industry specifically?
So if you want me to keep it real,
yeah,
the main struggle in this particular industry is it's closed. It's not closed to new talent. It's, well, this is how we've always done it. This is the way it's done. And because it's a very homogenous industry, individuals typically hire people like themselves. And when you don't have diversity, it's very difficult, to get other perspectives and other ideas and have innovation and growth. So I would say that this industry is really behind the times when it comes to advancement in technology, when it comes to the hiring and how they go about doing it. I'll tell you, when I first entered into this industry, and actually that project that I just talked about, one of the reasons that we got on the project is because the project manager was planning to put an ad out in the paper.
When was that? Like 1995?
No, that was back in 2013, 2014.
Can't believe it.
Yeah, they were actually putting ads out in the paper, or they were hiring their cousin's, sister's, brother's girlfriend, to do these jobs that do require some technical ability. They require, commitment, competency. And a lot of times they just weren't getting that because they weren't allowing themselves to be open to new solutions and new ideas about, hiring and bringing in talent. So I would say that's the most difficult part.
And I know, since we've been working together for 6 years now, that the industry is also pretty big and it's growing. There's a lot of money being invested into these projects. So do you also feel that there is enough talent in to fill all of these positions in the industry, or is that a challenge as well?
Well, keeping it real, my short answer is hell no. No, there's not enough people. It can't possibly be enough people. Well, first of all, we haven't seen this number of projects going on simultaneously for, hundreds of years. And this industry, doesn't do a great job of building capacity. I think a lot of the talent is recycled. But now that we're sort of entering into an era where we're changing how we look at, our transportation and infrastructure, and we're finally investing, in that, now it's going to require more people. So it's the responsibility of this industry to figure out ways to build capacity.
And have you been engaged in any of capacity building for the industry or not yet?
Absolutely. Listen, if I want to stay in
Silly
business, if I want to stay in business and make sure there's still an opportunity for JLM, oh yes, I better put some skin in the game for sure. So this is something that we recognize early on. I would say back in 2013, just by looking at the trends and just being the amazing business people that we are.
Of course.
Yes. We could see that as these projects are beginning to roll out, that, the individuals that are coming out of school, with these type of degrees and wanting to get into this industry, or even access to opportunities, was very limited. So when you look at the growth rate of this industry and where it's going and all the projects rolling out, it's obvious to anyone that's paying attention that there's not going to be enough people. So that's something we recognized early on. So out of that information, we decided to create what's called Career Excellence Academy, which is our sister company that focuses on building capacity for our industry. We go into all different, neighborhoods in our communities of opportunity to tap into talent that isn't traditionally tapped into for this industry, because that's what's going to have to happen if we want to be able to complete and roll out these projects on time and have enough people to bring them to fruition. So we created a 8-week course that focuses on bridging individuals that either have transferable experience from other industries, are coming out of school and don't have a whole lot of job history, and others that maybe, just didn't know anything about the industry, didn't know about the opportunities, and want an opportunity to see what it's about and possibly have a career where they can build wealth and legacy for their families. So that's really what it's about. So we focus on areas of opportunity, women, veterans, disabled, anyone that would not normally be exposed to these type of opportunities, in addition to others that may be exposed. A lot of the individuals that come through our course are graduates from UCLA, USC, NYU, all the big schools.
No, that sounds really amazing. And it seems like you are making a difference in community by capacity building, then placing people on jobs. I mean, all of this ties together. But you're also full of surprises. So not just one company, but 2. That's what we're learning right now, JLM and CEA. But we'll have to dive deeper into these topics in following podcasts. I think it's going to be interesting to hear more about the change that you make in the community every day. Now, switching the topics a little bit, and we're going to get a little bit personal.
Uh-oh.
So you are clearly a successful business owner.
Clearly,
not just one company, but 2 companies.
Yes. in
LA, but I know JLM is also working nationally and going as far as East Coast. So, I mean, what's the secret recipe, LaShondra? Share it with everyone.
Oh, that's easy. High tolerance for stress and pain. That's the secret sauce. Yes, that's a part of it. Gosh, that's a good question. What's the secret sauce? Well, the secret sauce is there is no secret,
Everyone is going to be so disappointed.
I know,
waiting for this.
I know. Yeah, no, it's no secret. It's actually all out in the open, to be quite honest. So anybody that, wants to torture themselves and get into business, it's all laid out there for you. For me personally, I feel like, I was put on this planet for a reason. And that I have something to do, and at the ripe old age of 24,
24, you said?
Yes, that was
okay,
it.
All right.
That was it. I don't have much time left. God willing, I have 30, maybe 40 years left. I mean, what else is there to do, besides sort of, leave your mark on this planet? And so that's exactly what I'm trying to do. Because it's not just about me. I have 3 children, and at some point they will have grandchildren, hopefully after the age of 35. And so I want to be able to leave something for them, to step on and then build from that. I didn't necessarily have that growing up. My parents were of a generation where, the rebuilding really, really just begun. So I just want to do my part. So it's important to me to make sure that every day I'm productive. Every day I'm, giving back, to the community that has given so much to me and my family. So that's huge to me.
That's the secret.
That's
giving
the secret.
Back.
Giving back and gratitude.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And is JLM your first business, or did you own a business before?
Oh, Lord. Here we go.
Now that's the secret. It's just the secret we've all been waiting for.
Yes. So JLM is not my first business. And
tell us.
Yeah. And for those who know me, I typically have my hair tied up in a bun. They would never think that my first business was actually a hair salon
Oh,
and
really?
barber shop.
Really?
Yes, yes. But interestingly enough, now I don't do hair, and I'm not a barber, but the opportunity that I saw with that particular business, was just really just the business part of it, the renting space to putting together a platform for other artists, which hairstylists and barbers, that's what they really are, artists. And I'm going to give them that label because that will excuse them for their crazy behavior, because they're crazy, and give them a platform to be able to do their art. And so that's what it's about for me. And it's really not much different from JLM or Career Excellence Academy, because, these two are institutions where others can come and use this platform, to show their greatness and give back to their communities. So for me, even though I've had a business before in a completely different industry, it's all the same to me.
So it laid the foundation for future businesses. It was kind of similar path. So now, getting a little bit more serious.
Okay.
I think we can't ignore what's going on right now. So pandemic, COVID-19, very unique time, I think, for everyone, for all businesses. So I think it's going to be interesting to hear how it has affected JLM and your business, and how you are doing during this time.
Well, that was a lot of questions all at once. So I will do my best to answer all of them. Regardless if your business is doing well or you're struggling, everybody is affected on some level or another. Now, I've been very blessed, and I'm very grateful that JLM is held pretty steady throughout this pandemic. A lot of the work that we're doing is considered essential. So that's a blessing. And I have an amazing team behind me that works tirelessly, gives 100% every day. So I'm extremely lucky. But at the same time, I'm also faced with being a first grade teacher, which literally sucks balls. My son's school is insane, and his teacher is, how can I say? She is inflexible. Yes. So I currently have 3 projects, spelling tests, and a bunch of other stuff that we're probably not going to do. But anyway, that's difficult, number one, because I didn't realize how much energy my 7-year-old has and how much time and attention he requires. And so between the time and attention that my husband requires, it's been World War III.
Husbands are like second babies, no?
Or first babies. Yes. Oh, exactly. So no, they go at it for my attention all day long and twice on Sunday. So that's been difficult, but just me personally, I have my moments when I feel very energized and I feel like, I'm going to get through this. I'm going to just, power through it. I'm going to chop wood and carry water, right? There's other days when I feel like just desperate and in despair. Like I'm crying my eyes out. I'm like, I cannot believe this is the world, what the world has come to, what kind of world I'm going to leave for my children and my grandchildren. So my emotions are up and down. I think that anybody, regardless of what financial position they're in, is going to feel that, because at this point, it's not about money. It's not about how big your house is. It's not about, your Gucci shoes or your car. None of that matters when it comes to simple, everyday things that are important to just living and being a human being. And when those things are being threatened and taken away from us, that is really the wake-up call. And then you really start to assess what's really important in life. So I've had plenty of come to Jesus moments during this pandemic. And I've been scared out of my mind. I've been courageous. And at the same time, I've literally just been claustrophobic, emotional. I've been eating every 5 minutes. I bought a bike.
To burn up the food.
Which I haven't ridden a bike since I was a teenager. You know, I didn't realize how uncomfortable those seats were. You know, I literally have been shopping online ad nauseum. You know, I created this whole oasis in my backyard. I've been living in my house for like almost 4 years, and I've never stepped foot in the backyard. Now all of a sudden, I have a whole cafe. I just bought a projector, so we're gonna do movies outside. I bought a grill.
I'm coming.
Hey, let's go.
Yeah,
let's go. I have a garden back there. I have no idea what I'm doing, so I had to you know, get a subscription with My Private Farmer that comes out twice a week to educate me about my garden, make sure that my plants are doing well.
So you're growing your own food on top of everything.
Yes. And
nice.
I actually manage a permaculture lesson for my 7-year-old.
Oh, wow.
Because My Private Farmer comes out and gives a little lesson. So it's super cool.
That's awesome. So you got it all covered. It's pretty much you can live out from your house forever now.
Well, that's the goal because I wasn't planning on coming outside until September.
Yeah. And here you are doing this podcast today.
Exactly, because I'm very, very bougie. So I have to recreate my life in the confines of my house. Doing a good job, though. I'm proud of myself.
No, that sounds amazing. I think there is some wisdom there for people to learn from, how to keep yourself just busy and purposeful with all these different things, you know, that you've been doing. So thank you for sharing. And then just bringing it back to the business with COVID. So you did mention that business fortunately has been doing well because it's considered to be essential business. Is there also anything special that you set up within JLM that allowed it to continue working with no disruption and interruption during this pandemic? Is there anything that you introduced or did or implemented in the past?
The short answer, the keep it real answer is yes. The other keep it real answer is, did I actually do it physically? No. I have an amazing team, as I mentioned before. And most of them are probably under the age of 25.
So they're about your age, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
just my age. You got that. Yes. Thank you. I like that. And just brilliant minds. And the interesting thing is, you know, obviously it was a transition to go from being in the office every day to being online and working from home. All my staff is working remotely at this point. But the one thing that I will say allowed the transition to happen, other than just, you know, the amazing, you know, folks that I have working for me that actually, you know, facilitated and made the transition very smooth and easy, is that, you know, back in 2011, when we started our business, you know, we saw where the world was going. And we've always been on a cloud from inception. And we've always utilized technology to do what we do. And I remember getting so much flack. Oh my gosh, you don't have a server? How are you going to keep the information saved? What are you going to do? Who's going to steal your information? Yeah. And I always thought to myself, well, if somebody wants to take the time to steal it, well, good luck. What are you going to do with it? I mean, really. And I don't think people realize that being on the cloud was actually very secure at the time. So that was one thing that we got right. You know, hey, a broken clock is right twice a day. Mm-hmm. So that was, you know, that decision early on, you know, helped us to be in a position where, boom, we could seamlessly move from being in the office to being remotely. And we've actually found it quite productive. Yeah.
Well, that's amazing that you were able to look into the future or ahead of the times when you started thinking about putting everything on the cloud. And that you did it regardless of what people were saying, because there's always people who are going to give you pushback and try to hold you back. So that's amazing that you guys pushed forward and here you are,
and thriving. It's interesting that you say that, because, I mean, if I'm keeping it real, we didn't get any positive reinforcement when we were starting the business. Every single thing that we did or tried to do had a counter. And if you're someone that wants to be an entrepreneur, wants to have a business, wants to have success, my advice to you is don't listen to shit that anybody has to say. Do you.
Just follow your path for your dream.
Follow your gut, follow your path. And if you fail, so what? At least you tried. At least you did it, and nobody can take that from you.
Yeah. I think this is a really good little taste of what we will be talking about in the future when it comes to small business or just business in general and following your dreams. So thank you for sharing that. And now, since you were talking about keeping it real, so we're really gonna go personal.
Uh-oh. All right, Carolina.
So you're a successful business owner, entrepreneur, a wife, a mother of 3, as you said it.
Mm-hmm.
And I also hear that you are in the process of writing a book.
Yes.
Did I miss anything? Is there anything that I should add to the list? Probably a few things.
Yeah, but I don't know if this is the right venue to talk about my other talents.
Not yet. But the question that I'm getting at is, how do you do it all of it?
Oh, that's a good question. And my keep it real answer is, I do not have a clue. But what I do know is that every day I get up, I put my big girl panties on, and I put one foot in front of the other, and I just do. I mean, obviously you have to have time, to plan. You want to be strategic. You want to make sure that, you're making good choices, decisions, and things like that. But you have to keep moving forward. And I think that anytime you get stagnant, anytime anything gets stagnant, it spoils and dies. Mm-hmm. So the goal is just to keep moving. It's just to keep moving forward and not getting stuck in the past, which is something that is not an easy thing to do. I've had my own battles with, childhood things, past relationships, all that stuff. But one thing, that I've always been able to do is keep it moving. Just keep moving and figure it out as I go. Mm-hmm. I don't have it all figured out. I do not have all the answers. But every day that I put, what I want out into the universe, it just keeps coming back to me, and it keeps giving me the strength and courage to keep continuing to move forward. Mm-hmm. So if that's the secret, well, cat is out the bag. Yeah. That's it.
I can relate to that. I think it's about, like you said, just keep it pushing a little bit every day. It's not like you have to expect these massive things to happen every day. It's just a little step forward. And then in the end, over time, it becomes this big thing that you achieved or moved forward.
Exactly. I mean, and you heard me say it earlier, just chop wood, carry water. I actually steal that phrase from my husband and partner. That's sort of a mantra that he's always lived by. And because what people don't realize is that when you have success and you have a business, it is not sexy. It is boring. It's mundane. If your business is literally boring and mundane, then you are wildly successful. Because that's the time when you just have to do the little things. You just chop wood, carry water, and then you have those moments where you reach milestones and you can celebrate and you have a little sexy time in the business. Mm-hmm. But most of it is just doing a bunch of mundane stuff. Mm-hmm. Just chopping wood and carrying water, and just doing all the things that are needed to keep the business going and keep it alive and keep it growing. And then one day you look around and you realize, wow, I'm really successful.
I built something.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So that's really what it's about.
That's awesome. And what about balance? People like to talk about work-life balance, work and personal life and kids and work. What is your view on that as a business owner?
Man, you just hit me.
Keep it real.
you just hit me with some deep questions. Jeez Louise. No, those are great questions. You know what? It's just trial and error. If I would be lying, let me keep it real. I would be lying to you if I said, oh, I've got it all figured out. I have perfect balance. No. when we were starting the business, we had zero balance. Like, we literally worked every day, all day long. I'll tell you a quick story. People, obviously they're not going to know this, but when I was pregnant with my 7-year-old, we were only a couple years into the business, and it was just really the two of us, and we're building. And I remember I was 9 months pregnant. We had a big project with a transit company, and every day we were scheduling, 70 to 80 people on these projects on a daily basis. And I had a scheduled C-section for a Saturday. And I remember I worked all day scheduling all these people for that weekend shift up until 11:45 p.m. My scheduled appointment for my C-section was 12 a.m. The hospital was 15 minutes down the street. So I scheduled my last person, 11:45, hopped in the car, went to the hospital, got induced, had a crazy labor experience, had the baby Saturday evening. No, had the baby Sunday morning, because I don't know what time it was because I was out of it. On Monday, did payroll in the hospital bed.
Yeah. I have one thing to say to that. LaShondra is crazy.
It's official. I'm a little cray-cray, but that's what it takes when you're grinding.
Yeah.
So obviously that's not a whole lot of balance going on there. But that's what it was needed, and obviously I'm 10 years in, my life is a little more balanced, but in the beginning you just had to grind. And over time, as you grind, as you build a team, as you, delegate, and allow other people to carry some of the burden for you, then you begin to figure out where your balance is. Mm-hmm. And I'm still figuring it out. I'm at a point now where the business, can pretty much, run without me, although it pains me to say that because my ego is screaming, girl, they need you. You the bomb. So there's a constant battle there, and then I had to accept that I am no longer the smartest person in the room. Actually, I might be the least smartest person in the room based on the talent that we have here. So that's exciting, but it's always an internal battle. Mm-hmm. And I'm on my own path when it comes to this, and I'm just enjoying all the ups, all the downs, all of it.
Yeah. So
it just is what it is, and I'll sleep when I'm dead. How about that? If you really want me to keep it real.
So I think that confirmed that you have to be a bit crazy to do all of this stuff together. You have to have that crazy in you. Yeah.
You really need. I mean, if you want to be, in charge, if you want to be a leader, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to be willing to go all the way to the edge. Mm-hmm. Of what you're capable of, because and not for any reason, but to be the example for others, to show how it's done and show that they can rely on you, they can depend on you, and they can trust you, to be a part of this dream, to be a part of this vision. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you have to be willing to bury some bodies to build that trust.
No, we will definitely explore that topic in the future.
Oh, you want to know where the bodies are buried?
Yes.
Oh, no. I don't know if I trust you like that, Carolina.
Not yet.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
We'll
in a
work
few
on
episodes.
I got it.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being so honest and doing the real talk. Like, honestly, after everything that you said, I still have no idea how do you do it, but I guess moving forward we will be exploring all of these different topics, how to be a a business owner, entrepreneur, a mother, a woman in construction industry. We'll talk about all of this, but this was really awesome. I think this was a really great start to this podcast series. And
wait a minute, I'm sorry. Hold on. Podcast serious?
Excuse me.
I'm just.
I know.
I don't know what word.
You have to be my translator. Then tell everyone what I meant by saying that. Podcast
series.
Podcast
series.
Podcast
series.
That's right.
Okay. Yes.
That's it.
Yes, I am the Carolina whisperer and interpreter, because I don't know what that word was that she said that didn't match what we're doing, but
that's why I need you. You have to correct me so people can understand me.
Yeah, you do need me, and it's nice to be needed, because apparently no one in my company needs me anymore, so I'll take it where I can get it. Thanks a lot.
I need you.
I'm ready to go.
Well, thank you, LaShondra.
You're welcome, and thank you. This was fun. Series about entrepreneurship, leadership, and success that I have found in the construction industry. If you want to hear more and you want to be a part of our community, follow us on LinkedIn and subscribe to our newsletter on our LinkedIn profile. If you want to share your thoughts after listening to this episode, feel free to drop a line in our LinkedIn podcast post. Thanks for listening, and we will connect next month.